Good evening. We will call the Monday, July 28th regular board meeting of the East China School District to order. We will start with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our agenda is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. First off, Board of Education. Anybody have anything to speak of?
Mr.
Folsom.
Check my notes here. That all-day transportation expo was held last Thursday, and Michelle and her gang did a great job of putting it together, and Alan and I were there to help out. They had bus drivers from all over Michigan, from Battle Creek to Gaylord, and they served them breakfast and lunch, and the Marine City cheerleaders, kids, parents, and coaches helped out, setting up the tables and stuff like that, and the girls were the ones that were on the bus that got hijacked. So, and the St. Clair County SWAT team was there, and they demonstrated if a school bus got hijacked, procedures would follow. And also the Marine City Fire Department was there, and they cut a bus apart to show them how in an emergency, how they would cut the bus apart to get people out, and if anybody was hurt. They had St. Clair Algonac Fire Department there to help out, and Beaumont Hospital sent a helicopter, and they landed on the school parking lot, and they came in and demonstrated and asked questions. They hung around for a couple hours, and if anybody had a lunch, and then I think in the afternoon they had like 3 sessions set up, 3 different sessions for all the bus drivers to go at different sections to get input on whatever they want to check into. But it was a well run and well representative. It's a good thing for the district.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you did. I know you put countless hours into preparing for this, and all the people and the coordinating you did. We thank you for that and bringing it to our district.
Thank you for allowing me.
Dr. Skelko.
Well, I was going to make sure that we thanked Michelle and the staff that worked to pull off the event as well. I think we're really proud also, as Mr. Trustee Folsky talked about, we're to work with our dedicated first responders to help them train and be ready in the case of what we hope is never an emergency. So we thank them for all their efforts, and really grateful that we had the opportunity to help them out in their training and preparation. Secondly, or is item C, whenever East China students achieve the highest levels of success, maybe such as state athletic championships or national recognition, we'd like to recognize them here at a board meeting. So President Bewer, you have such a recognition to provide tonight.
Good evening. Danny Williamson, recent graduate of St. Clair High School, competed in the Skills USA Nationals, held in Kansas City, Missouri on June 25th to the 27th, 2014. He represented Michigan in precision machining technology. Danny was awarded the first place gold medal at this competition. Danny attended St. Clair Tech for the past 2 years under the supervision of his metal machining instructor, Mr. Dwayne Emig. This competition followed wins at the local, regional, and state levels. At nationals, he competed against one student from each state in this category. Danny dedicated many of after school and summer hours to prepare himself for this competition. Congratulations, Danny, for your hard work, dedication to your craft, and certainly everything paid off. And thank you for representing our school district in the manner that you did. Congratulations. And I see you've got something there to show us. Tell us a little bit what you did.
These are the parts I made at Nationals. This was on the manual mill. This was on the manual lathe. There was other things too, but it was like mostly just other written tests, and I had to program CNC machines. But these are the actual physical parts that I had to make. We had an hour and 10 minutes to make this one, an hour and 10 minutes to make this one. So whoever got the most done to the right dimensions in that amount of time scored the most points. So these are my 2 parts.
Amazing.
How close did you have to come on your specs?
Well, for example, this hole on the like the inside right here was 1 inch plus or minus 1/1000th of an inch,
Okay.
which is a quarter of a piece of paper.
The thickness of a piece of paper,
Yeah.
quarter of that.
A quarter of the thickness of a piece of paper.
And you did this manually.
Yes.
And and how many people were competing doing this test?
Well, there
Not,
was,
I know that you had to get from a state level to the national level, so.
at the national level, there was I think 46 or 47 students.
Okay, and that means 46, 47 students out of hundreds or thousands of students across the country. So every time, it's like any professional sport. You got minor leagues, and you get to the majors, and then you get to the World Series, and that's what you did. You just won that. That's remarkable. And then to do that manually, amazing. Congratulations.
Danny, what are your plans for next year?
I plan to go to Ferris State University for welding engineering technology.
Well, best of luck. It's outstanding.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Great job. Thank you.
Yep. That's okay. Enjoy your summer. Next item on the agenda is our organizational items. Dr. Skulk, you just want to speak as to
Well,
our process?
Yep. Each July, we hold our annual organizational meeting. It is a series of motions and actions by the board that allow us to basically operate the district over the course of the year. You authorize a variety of things like appointing me as the executive secretary, which is first up, communication with Times Herald, an attorney, so forth and so on. So it allows us to do kind of the daily business of the district.
We will start appointment of executive secretary. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves Superintendent Dr. Stephen Skalka as executive secretary to the board and direct that he post proper notice of all meetings as given. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved.
Support.
Supported. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Appointment of legal counsel. Recommended action per administration recommendation. The Board of Education approves Truen Law Firm as legal counsel. Motion needed.
So moved.
Move. Mr. McNamee?
Yeah.
Mr.
I'll
Folsky,
support it.
support. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Designation of newspaper for public notices. Recommendation, the administration, the Board of Education designate the Times Herald and the Voice for public notices. Motion needed.
So moved.
Move Mr. McNamee.
I'll support.
Support.
Or no.
Mr. Folsky. Comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Authorization for the investment of surplus funds. The administration is recommending that the board authorize the executive director for finance as designated agent of the treasurer to invest surplus funds of the district in accordance with Act 87 of the Public Acts of 1979, following generally accepted business practices and in the best interest of the district. Motion needed.
So moved.
Move Mr. Folsky.
Second.
Support Mr. McNamee. All those comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Waiver of tax collection interest. The administration is recommending that for the 2014-15 fiscal year, the board shall not require payment of interest earned on taxes collected on behalf of the school district by the various municipal units of the district, provided such taxes collected are remitted on the following schedule. Detroit Edison property taxes remitted upon receipt. All other property taxes remitted bi-weekly. Motion needed.
So moved.
Mr. McNamee.
Support.
Support, Mr. Folsky. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. So moved. Designation of depositories for school funds. The administration is recommending that the following institutions be designated as official depositories of the district, and that the individuals holding the positions named be authorized as signatories on each account as listed. Official depositories: Charter One, Chase, Comerica, Fifth Third Bank, Talmer Bank and Trust, Flagstar Bank, Merrill Lynch, Michigan Liquid Asset Fund, Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, Seaway Community Bank, Bank of America. Checking accounts: Sinking Fund, Treasurer and President; Building and Site Fund, Treasurer and President; Payroll Account, Treasurer and President; General Fund Account, Treasurer and President; Debt Retirement Account, Treasurer and President; Cafeteria Fund, Executive Director or Superintendent; Internal Account, Executive Director or Superintendent; Marine City High School Internal Account, Principal, Executive Director or Superintendent; Marine City Middle School Internal Fund, Principal, Executive Director or Superintendent; St. Clair High School Internal Account, Principal, Executive Director or Superintendent; St. Clair Middle School Internal Account, Principal, Executive Director or Superintendent. Motion needed.
So moved.
Moved Mr. McNamee.
Support.
Support Mr. Folsky.
I do just
Mr.
have
Bueller.
one question.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, the Seaway Community Bank, is
Is
that?
North Star.
Is North Star.
Is now North Star Bank, correct.
Right. And also under the authorized signatures, I don't recall like this being on here before. Is that, which I agree with it being on here, but I was just wondering, like, there's nobody on as a signer that's not supposed to be, like there was last year. There is still, I assume there's not.
I don't believe so, and I think maybe by using the titles, that makes it, I don't know if you're referring to
Right.
names and then names and then people
Right,
who left.
so is that something that,
I think in order to make sure that we don't get caught in somebody leaving a position and therefore not being able to sign,
right,
we're going with titles.
okay, I agree, so, very good.
Should we,
We will amend the motion to scratch Seaway Community Bank to their new name, North Star Bank. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. So moved. Adoption of regular monthly meeting schedule. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education adopt the regular meeting schedule as shown on page 5. Motion needed.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McNamee,
Support.
support by Mr. Kenigbauer. Comments or questions?
Yes. I also want to amend it and add special meetings
I can't
for
hear
the
you.
purpose of this board to meet to discuss our situation, the school situation that we have, about how many schools we're going to have, things of that nature. And so therefore, at this point, I don't want to discuss the issues, just simply say that we have to deal with these issues because in December, we must come up with a new budget or adopt an amended budget. In the meantime, if we are going to in fact close the school, we're going to have to have time for the people to have transportation planning. There's going to be a whole lot of issues that are going to have to be dealt with. And last year, or excuse me, this year, and I believe in March, we first started discussing this issue, and then we were confronted with a situation where there just wasn't enough time to organize the thing, and I just don't want us to wait again to be in that position. So the purpose, or my suggestion is that we meet I picked Mondays, obviously subject to change, but I picked September 8th, which was 2 weeks before our September meeting. I picked, all these are 2 weeks before our monthly meetings, October 13, November 10, and December 8th. That will if we don't need all those meetings, if it turns out in November that we've accomplished everything, then we can obviously drop a meeting. But my concern is that we have a lot of people who are going to want to talk to us about that. We are going to have to deal with a lot of issues concerning it, and because of the large deficit that we're going to be facing if we don't take action, it's time for us to move. And that's why on the dates that we have here, I would like to add these 4 dates for the special meetings for this purpose. And I don't know if that's proper the way I did it in terms of amending something, but that's essentially my thought. And so I guess I'll make an amendment to my own motion. Can I do that? I don't know. But anyway, I'll make that motion, that we amend it, add these dates.
Do we have support?
I'll support.
Comments, questions?
I have no objections to that. I'm just wondering, is that enough time for the administration, or is this going to be like an open forum we can discuss, and then they'll dig out the information?
Well,
or
that's a good question. I think that's a very important question. Tonight, from the agenda, I can see that we're going to have some discussion already on, in other words,
Okay.
we were going to be, how are we going to approach us? We wanted to know what we already learned. So
Correct.
get an outline of what we've already learned. We're going to hopefully do a lot of that tonight, and then move from that point forward.
Okay.
And
All
that's,
right, I
that's
see.
really the idea. And yes, obviously, we'll have public, the public
yeah,
can always speak to
right.
us at a meeting, so yes.
Okay.
But thank you for that question.
Okay.
It's informative.
I just cleared it up. Okay, thank you.
So we are going to amend the regular monthly meeting schedule.
You have a vote on the amendment first, and then you amend, then you vote on the whole.
Okay.
Mhm.
Comments or questions anymore? All those in favor of the amendment? Signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will amend the regular monthly meeting schedule to include Mondays, September 8th, October 13th, November 10th, December 8th, as open meetings to discuss future plans for the district. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. Item number 5, consent agenda, approval of minutes for the regular Board of Education meeting June 23rd, 2014, special Board of Education meeting June 24th, 2014, special Board of Education meeting July 10th, 2014, approval of payment of bills, financial statement, schedule of investments. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kennegbauer, support by Mr. McNamee. Comments or questions? Hearing none. Everyone approve, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. So carried. Next item on our agenda is recognition of persons wishing to address the board. Seeing none, we will move on. Item number 7, reports. Superintendent report. Dr. Skalka.
2 quick updates. One, the first update is more for anyone watching or who will watch in the future. I just want to remind those folks that Marine City Middle School and Riverview East High School will move to the same bell schedule as Marine City High School next year. We have communicated this already via teacher communicating that in classrooms, and note placed in all report cards. Last week at school, it was announced to parents, students and parents at 6th grade orientation, and a note has been placed on the website. We plan to continue to make sure that folks are aware by a note in their Mariner Day packet, signage on Mariner Day, messages on Facebook, and we will be doing an all call to those students attending those two programs prior to school starts. The same kind of all call when you get a snow day or something like that. There is educational benefit in doing this, as it's easier for the advanced Marine City Middle School students to take classes at Marine City High School, as the bell times are now aligned, so they can move up to that school and there isn't that overlap and the times aren't aligned anymore. The other This is also becoming more important as enrollment decreases. We need to bring more kids together at the same time, which will be a feature of the presentation later on in the evening. As well as I think we have expressed that the class of 2016, which are currently juniors, are the first class that requires a world language in order to graduate, 2 credits thereof. And so we now have to provide world language instruction to the Riverview East students. So this also helps in terms of the teacher movement, not just the student movement from building to building, but teacher movement from building to building. There's also a financial benefit in doing this, as we are able to eliminate 3 bus runs as a result of this move, and that obviously will help in our overall deficit reduction plans. So again, just a short reminder for the community and for the students attending Riverview East and Marine City Middle. Next year they'll be on that same time schedule.
I have a question about that, Dr. Skolka.
Yes.
On the Riverview East,
Mm-hmm.
the kids ride the bus back from the tech, when the tech are dropping off,
Right.
and then the Riverview East kids ride back. How's that going to throw the timetable off? Or?
It actually helps out in that they will be missing less of their 3rd hour class in order to pick up the bus to the tech center. Right now, because they started later in the day, they were being dismissed earlier out of 3rd hour in order to get to the tech center. By starting earlier, they'll get to more of 3rd hour and they won't miss as much time.
Okay, and the Riverview East, they're on a different time schedule. Their hour classes are like an hour and a half or hour and quarter or something like compared to high school. How is that going to work out? Or
We've worked, Mrs. Saibula as well as Mrs. Woolman and Mrs. Resnich have all worked that out in terms of a schedule. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Wanted to give you a summer feeding update as well. We have had as many as 47 students at summer feeding. We have an average of about 25, but that will all change tomorrow when elementary summer school starts. And we bring 153 plus, as we've had additional enrollments today for summer school starting tomorrow. All of the summer school kids know that buses will not come until after lunch is served. So if they're riding, they're almost forced to go to lunch. And we've asked, and we are encouraged to go to lunch. And we have also encouraged parents who are picking up their students to come at the end of lunch, so that, again, we can provide students with a healthy meal during the middle of the day.
Where's that being held at?
Marine City Middle School.
Middle school. Okay.
Yep,
The
and the Marine
elementary,
City
the elementary
cafeteria.
kids too.
I'm sorry?
The elementary kids.
The
also?
elementary summer school is being held there because of the
Okay.
construction at Bell River this
Okay,
summer.
that's
So
it.
it all
Okay.
works out really, really well.
All right. Okay.
Right. Next item on our agenda is, item A is athletic gate admissions, and it is on page 16 of our outlook. Dr. Skolka?
Yeah, a while back, I was asked to put together some information regarding athletic gate admissions, and provided you that information. Unfortunately, and again, I apologize for the snafu last month, in that it didn't get into the board packet, so that we weren't able to discuss it. One of the things that gate is highly dependent upon who you play in that particular year. And last year, we indeed did have a weaker revenue through gate admissions, and part of that was we played, both schools played Marysville away. This year, both schools will be playing Marysville home, and there's a rivalry there. They travel well, as opposed to some of the other schools maybe closer down to the Detroit area that we have no real natural rivalry with. They don't necessarily travel so well. We've also picked up our non-league contests against more local schools, Croswell-Lex being one of them, and we anticipate that would be helping our gates. So that's just if nothing changes with respect to any kind of fee structures, the past structures, or anything else. I know that we have not traditionally, in the last few years, charged for soccer and track, and they're not consistently or uniformly charged for those events. And so part of the conversation tonight is just any direction or any suggestions that you might have, as we've had conversations with some of you on this topic, the idea of going back to charging for all activities in which we have gate has been talked about. So I turn that over to you folks to have any conversation you wish.
Comments?
Well, I sent an email on the 22nd of July. Did everybody get that? Yes. Okay, so one of the things that I would like us to look at, and I think St. Clair still does it, but Marine City stopped a couple of years back, and that's the black hole. Whereas I'm not exactly sure how it worked, but
It's still going, isn't it?
no.
The black hole for basketball games?
No, it's not going. It was canceled. Mr. Mean canceled it.
Well, I look into how it was discontinued.
Well,
So,
anyway,
yep.
whatever.
Mhm.
That was the year it was canceled.
Okay.
Anyway, no, it's not still going on.
I was just
But
questioning
this-
because
I
I
believe the
didn't know.
St. Clair six-man is still going on. Did anybody check into that?
What we're talking about is a student section in which maybe T-shirts are developed. It just encourages attendance.
So the students buy the
Mhm.
T-shirt
Yep.
for whatever dollar amount
Mhm.
that the principal sets, and then they all sit together, in one spot, and it encourages student participation. They don't have to pay to get into the games then, and it was an excellent program.
Mhm.
I'd like to see us looking into possibly bringing that back.
We certainly will.
And then the other couple of ideas that I had was just to, instead of, it was just doing a reduced gate cost for senior citizens instead of free. And then maybe to lower the cost for students to get in at the gate. But those were the ideas that I had sent in my email. And
Well, I think that I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Go ahead. I just know that Mr. Viewer was familiar with the black hole.
I was part of that black hole.
Boy, okay. Got to gather myself. All right, I think that's a terrific idea about those T-shirts. The concept not only of the esprit de corps of the student body, but the identification and the sense of community that would raise, I think, is tremendous. There's already the spirit in the community, as we've seen at so many games, but this just would be one more addition, and I think these things would be worn with a great deal of pride. So, yes, that's a brilliant idea. Let's do that. If there's a problem, let's just overcome it. I don't see what the problem would be, but let's just get it done. Sometimes there's just things that should be done. The seniors, citizens, Mr. Folsky and I. It's all right, Mr. Folsky, you just don't love us anymore.
Are you an AARP member?
I am, but I save money doing that. Anyway, yeah, I think that senior citizens can pay for the games. I'm in favor of that. I do. You're not feeding a family anymore, at least you hope not to be when you're a senior citizen. And I think that the amount of money is not that substantial that that it's required. And I don't even know what a senior citizen is anymore because, for example, I'm not sure what our standard is for what a senior citizen is. I'm not going to ask somebody to come out with a birth certificate. If we just say, if you're an adult and you're over 21 or whatever age we set, and I haven't been carded in a while, so I'm assuming that I won't be, I think that probably they should pay, and I'm very much in favor of that as well.
I think the age was 62 years.
Really?
Yeah. If
Boy.
you're over 62, you skated in.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that anymore. I think probably it's time
Yeah.
to get. That's a nice thought, but but it's time for everybody just to kind of say, okay, that was then, this is now. People are going to live a lot longer, we all hope, especially Mr. Folsky and I. And then I would say we do away with it. That's my thought as well. I'm in favor of that.
At the discounted price?
Discounted price?
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't
that'd
care what,
be
I
great.
don't, whatever you want. What's the price?
For football.
They're free now, right? Senior
For
citizens are
senior
free?
citizens, but the price of football, I'm not sure about basketball.
What's
but I
just
think
an
it's
adult
$5.
price is an adult price.
$5 is-
I don't want to get in a situation where we're saying, can I see your ID to see when you were born and
You
stuff
can
like
kind
that?
of guess.
You kind,
Yeah.
well, thank you. You can kind of guess, huh? I think it makes things simpler if we just say.
I didn't mean it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, thanks. I just think it's simpler if we just go ahead and do it. That's my thought, anyway.
I agree.
I would share that one of the ways to do this is to have seniors either come into a school building or here to central office and provide them with, let's say, a golden pass or something to that effect. Because, again, our senior citizens are also our voters.
Absolutely.
And so I would like to potentially take care of them. Whereas if and this will sound awful, but if the grandparent of a Croslex kid comes to the football game, they're not our voters. So, I don't see why we couldn't do that. It will take some effort and work on our part to do something like that, especially getting out that word. But at the same time, and we'd have to have them available at the gates too, because again, for the first year or so, our gate workers are going to take some heat because they've all just been allowed to just come in. And at this point in time, all they'd have to do, at this point, we wouldn't, again, you said a birth certificate, we wouldn't ask them to bring a utility bill to prove their residence.
Right.
We would take their word for it. But it is a way to kind of have the best of both worlds in a sense, because I do believe that the seniors in the district who are our most loyal voters, we also would like to make sure that they support us and not upset at us.
Right. And I agree with the student cost coming down.
Well, the student cost, if they buy a pass, the student cost turns out to be,
But not everybody can buy a
But not
pass.
everybody can buy a pass. Now, I'm thinking of kids that are middle school and under. If you have two parents that are coming to a game,
Or
and
with
they
your
got
4
three
kids,
kids,
yeah.
and they're spending $25 just to walk into a game.
for that game, yes, I understand. But that also means that they can go to the next 2 games without spending anything, because their pass would cover them as a family, that would cover them for all of those.
Are we promoting
So-
the sale of passes at the
Very
gate?
much so. At the games, at Mariner
So
and
if somebody
Saint,
comes in
Mariner
with
and
a family
Saints Day.
of 5, then whoever's taking the money is going to say, look, why don't you just take a pass with you?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then we not do the same thing with the seniors gold pass or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah.
Just sell that at the gate?
Well, we wouldn't, I'm of the opinion, and I'm recommending to you, that we not sell the seniors a gold pass, but our district seniors should be given one. But that's my recommendation. It doesn't mean that, we can debate that.
I think they can afford it probably more than people raising a family like Mr. McNamee said.
I know a lot of families that don't go to a lot of games because they can't afford to take the 3 kids.
Well, I understand.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
I would think we'd have to do even better job or more job, a better job of communicating the value of the passes though. Because then what we're basically doing is completely getting, we're getting down to
So why
really
can't-
hurting our gate revenue.
Why can't we sell a senior pass for, say, $10 for the year?
We certainly could do that.
I mean, is that not
Extra
feasible?
$10, yeah.
For the whole school year, for anything.
Mhm.
It's still 10 times however many seniors attend our events, which,
Yep.
You're saying for all sports, for the
Right,
entire
they
year?
are
just
for all
a yearly
sports.
pass,
Yep.
$10 per senior.
Okay.
I don't know, just an idea.
Yep.
I'm fine with that, too.
Can you,
It just, when you're raising a family, you have to feed them, you have to clothe them, you have to buy them school supplies, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
You have to take 'em, you know, you got to go all these expenses when you're a senior citizen. Yeah, you're not making the same you were when you were working, but by the same token, you don't have those expenses.
Right.
And so I think that, you know, this isn't written in stone that this year we
Right.
do this and we're going to do it forever. If it doesn't work out, we can always change it next year. I mean,
Right.
but I think for now that, I think it's reasonable to say, you know, whatever you like, but I'll go with $10 for a season pass per senior citizen. And, I mean, that covers a lot of ground. You've got how many football games? I mean, if you really want to, and you at least, what, about 5 or 6 games at least? And then you've got,
Basketball.
you got basketball, and how many you got there? I mean,
10.
baseball, I mean, you can go on and on and on, so.
10 and each team's got 10 home games.
Yeah, so now you're talking
No,
about
20
35
home
cents a
games.
game when you start
Green
figuring all
City,
these events,
If you go to
right?
Green City, St. Clair, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Could this,
Yes.
the August newsletter, can this be put in there, or is it too late for that, or?
We'll squeeze it in.
Okay, just to give people a heads up.
I mean,
and-
we're days away from printing. We've been looking at it, and we find a spelling every time.
Okay.
But we'll squeeze it in.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's-
Well, at the same time, can we say that you're a senior citizen when you're 66? I'm already there, but can we say that? I mean, I'm just thinking at 62, it seems to be most people I know today at 62 are working.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Dr. Skalka?
Yes, sir.
Does this require a board vote, or is
No.
this something that's
This
just
is-
the administration? Okay.
The administration sets and carries out kind of the guidelines. We're asking your guidance, and we have that, so we know the direction to head.
Okay.
Next item, lease of property. Dr. Stover.
Spoke with you, I'm not sure if we talked about this at the last board meeting, but we've been giving you regular updates. We've been approached by Mr. Jerry Warner, who owns farmland adjacent to Bell River, and he approached us with the offer to lease approximately 10 acres of land that the school district does not use for a period of 5 years. Spent at a purchase price of about $45 an acre for the last 3 years of the lease. I met with Mr. Warner. We surveyed the land. We walked through it. It's going to need considerable work to make it farmable. It's very overgrown. There's some good-sized saplings bordering on trees getting started in that area. There's also a tree line that won't be touched, so there'll be a clear demarcation again between the Bell property where the kids play and what's being farmed, even though it's all our land. I would recommend that the board move tonight to allow me to enter into a lease with Mr. Warner. I understand that it's not an action item for you. If you'd prefer not to do it tonight, we can do it at the special meeting on August 11th. But the reason why I'm asking for a little quicker action on this is that in order for him to make the land usable, he does have considerable amount of work to clear it, and he would like to he would like to get a winter wheat crop in, which means a late August, September planting. So if we're going to wait till the end of August, our August meeting, he would not have the opportunity to get the land cleared. So I think this is an opportunity for us to gain a little extra revenue. In speaking, I understand it's a fair price for the land. I do believe, though, and I talked to him about the fact that we would not want to wait 2 years before receiving some revenue, and therefore we would have to move that timeline up, that we could spread it out over 5 years as opposed to the last 3. And he was amenable to that. He's looking for, in order to put in the work, to clear the land and make it farmable, a commitment on the part of the board, and that's why he's asked for a 5-year lease.
Comments, questions? Yes.
Yeah.
If we were to sell that land,
Mhm.
what roughly would be the market value of that land?
not my area of expertise. I can ask. I can ask, or we can,
Everybody's looking at you.
I can crunch some numbers and let the board know.
mhm.
Because the reason I ask is that it seems to me like a lot of work and a lot of hours
Mhm.
for the revenue that we're getting from it. And if we're truly looking to get revenues from our assets that we own, what kind of percentage is that? And maybe we should be selling that land rather than leasing it.
I would think that's, that's certainly a consideration, but I don't know what land we own. And therefore, I would
Not
want to
remarkable.
know what kind of a plan we had and why we owned that land, and then what kind of a plan we had for it in the future. I'm not suggesting that in the next couple of years or 5 years even, that we're going to be doing something with that land, because I don't see us financially, I see us getting out of the hole, but I don't see us getting
Yeah.
robust. We're going to obviously make progress to that. However, I think that if we sold it, I would, again, I wouldn't have enough information to make what I would consider an informed decision as to why that particular piece as opposed to what else we own. We talked about the inventories and what, and I certainly wouldn't want to be in a position where we said, yeah, we sold it, now we want to buy it back, and I mean, that you never want to be in that spot either. So, and I know you know that, but I'm just saying that that would be my concern about trying to sell it at this point, and maybe discussion somewhere down the line that might, that would be a good discussion, because we don't know I don't know anyway, I shouldn't say we, I don't know what properties, real estates we actually have in our possession in this district. And so that would probably be, for me, that would be informative. So I don't know anything about farming or anything else. Well, that's not totally true, but I do know about something else. But farming, I'm not an expert on, but Mr. Folsky is, and I'm thinking that if he's in favor of it, then I'm probably good for this for a 5-year lease. I think we don't have any plans for it in the next 5 years. And after that, we can do something else.
I think the other piece, I'm sorry, Mrs. Frank, the other piece is not just if you did want to sell it, who would actually be interested in buying
Well,
it?
yeah, it's not very
You know,
marketable.
so
I
this
know.
gentleman might be a lease with a quote,
Option to
rent to
buy.
own, option to
Right,
buy.
and I think based on the amount of acres that he's proposing to lease, that's a fair dollar amount that he's brought to the
No,
board.
I'm all for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the opposite of that is, what will we be doing with it
I know,
anyway?
exactly.
In the next 5 years?
Exactly.
He'll actually be improving the land for us.
Yeah, yeah. Although we could add that to Superintendent Skalka's duties and have him out there cutting the lawn everywhere.
I have a couple questions while we're talking about that.
Yes, Mr. Folsky.
$45 an acre it's a good price. That's what I get for ours, so it's a good say.
Okay.
I talked to Doc, sorry, I left a message. Is he going to till or non-till that property? Did he say anything?
I should have brought you because I'm
Well, the
I'm a
re-
suburban boy without any knowledge of this whatsoever. I looked at all the work he's going to have to do to clear it, and I said, wow.
Well, till is that you use machinery.
Yeah.
To get it. Non-till is you spray, weed killer and stuff like that, and I'm...
He's not going to spray. He can't. It's too big. He's got to thresh it all out.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
right, okay.
that'll
And
be
what
in the
about the
contract.
liability, since it's school property?
Mhm.
Does he have farmer's insurance or something to cover in case,
Yeah,
he has an accident on his tractor, and now is the school district liable for it?
We will
Because
make
it's-
sure that all of those are part of the lease with respect to hold harmless or any kind of bonding. I would work with Ms. Weglar's. I'll work with Kirk.
When you're the single renter, not a renter in common with other renters on the same piece of property, but when you're the sole renter, then the landlord, in this case, the school board, would have no liability in that situation.
Okay, that's fine, okay.
If we were renting to 4 different entities, then we would be responsible for the common areas.
And instead of a 3-year deal or out 3 years or whatever, I suggest that when he produces a crop,
Mhm.
that's when he starts paying us. If it's in the 2nd year or 3rd year, just
Well,
instead of,
Based on what? he's asking, he's gonna be having a crop next spring, if he plants winter wheat now.
Right. Then he maybe should start paying.
Okay.
Instead of waiting to the, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
You know,
I
when he-
agree.
When he produces the crop, then we can, you know, pay for the rent on that.
I don't know enough
That
about
makes
those
sense.
types of deals that I could say.
Well, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I assume the drainage of the property is gonna hopefully drain away from the school, so, you know, furrows and ditches and stuff like that, that it won't
That or we'll have a new swimming pool.
red go onto the school property. Anyway, that few notes I got written down on it.
We have enough information that the board would feel comfortable moving forward?
Oh, yeah, I have no problem
Give
with that.
Lease to
In
him
fact, the
now?
I'm all
farm
for it, yep.
Okay.
on the, was it the west side of the school, that's all farmed out by the parking lot. That's great. How much rather see that than tall weeds hanging in there and
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
So if we can do the same thing. I walked through
Absolutely.
back there, and there's quite a distance between the school property, you know, where the grass is cut, and then
Yep.
where he's gonna do his thing.
Okay.
There's good, I bet you there's gotta be at least a good acre or two in between the school.
Can we just add that as item C?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's contract. Mrs. Murphy, Mrs. Frank, and I were on the committee to review the superintendent's contract, and Dr. Skulka has, with regards to his contract and where the district stands and financially, is not asking for anything different in his contract, other than to extend an additional year. And then in this past year, the superintendent used all but 2 days of his allotted vacation time. And I can't even imagine to tell you how many Saturdays and Sundays he put in since he got here in June, and the extra time that he has used of his own time. Proposed change in language is to allow the superintendent to carry over or be paid out for no more than 5 unused vacation days per year. Otherwise, there would be no change to the contract compensation amounts. Comments, questions?
I think the one correction I would make is that you did approve the additional year back when we did the evaluation.
Correct.
What we did not do is any
Changes.
changes or anything with regard to the content of it. And then there was no need to do that, but statutorily, if you're going to extend a year, the term of the contract had to be done at the evaluation time.
Right, which we did.
The question that I have, in most other contracts, this is not something that takes place. So I understand that you're not going for an increase or anything, and I appreciate that, but nobody else is either because of the times and stuff, and so I'm opposed to it, but that's all.
My only comment is when you say most other contracts, could you give me 5 or 10 of them? Just tell me which ones you're talking about. I just want to know.
Transportation, custodial.
Okay. Superintendent contracts, how many of those?
What are you talking about?
I'm asking you said most other contracts. I'm asking you, so far you
Oh,
said
in
2.
in our school district.
In your school district. Oh,
Right.
and you're saying that they're only for how long?
Say again.
They're not being extended? None of them? Is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about vacation days.
Vacation days. Oh, okay. We didn't say vacation days. Okay.
Trustee Richley, I just want to make one clarifying comment, and that is, those other contracts, those folks don't necessarily, in some of those other contracts, they don't necessarily have vacation days. They just have a work year, all right? And so, for example, when spring break comes, and students don't come to classes, teachers aren't scheduled to work. It's just not one of their work days. For myself and other central office administrators, for us to take that time, we have to take vacation time because we're 12-month employees. That's the only difference. Secretarial contracts, Some have vacation if they're 12-month employees. Really, it's consistent on whether you're a 12-month employee or not. Transportation would not have any vacation time in its contract. They just have work days.
And with secretaries, are they able to carry their vacation over?
Per the approval of their immediate supervisors. Oh, and Mrs. Demick. There's two signatures. It's kind of like a check. So, hey, my intent is to take my vacation, but in the event not, I'd like to be able to carry it over and again, not to work and come up with a 25-day bill.
I think the public has to know that when Mr. B were referred to Saturdays and Sundays, et cetera, and evenings, we are talking about a ton of them in this past year. Nobody's being abused by this contract.
No, absolutely
This
not.
gentleman, as well as the other administrators in central office, have done incredible amount of time and effort in this past year, and they've only been in place for the year. But I think it is to even in any way indicate that they're not that they're being overcompensated. I think is ridiculous. This is a fair contract. We should vote for it.
Yep.
And I call the question. I call the question.
Well,
Let's have our vote.
Mr. McNamee, you can't just call the question.
Oh, Mr. Richley, that's exactly what you can
Well,
do.
you can call the question.
I
but
just
you have
did.
to- You have to have at least 5 members say that.
Okay,
they wanna
let's,
vote.
all right. Mr. Beaver, can we have a vote on it then? I call the question.
And it would be a roll call vote then.
But at least 5 members have to say that they.
Call the question. That's fine.
Yeah.
So,
You got two really confused.
What
new
do you
board
mean, what's
members
the
down here.
question?
Do you want to keep discussing the matter?
Or are we ready to vote?
Are we ready to vote? Yes, okay, I see.
Otherwise, it would appear on your August
no.
August
Oh, okay,
agenda.
no,
I'm ready to
right,
vote.
Yep.
well, no, I mean, I want to vote on it. But I'm
Yeah, no, understand. So we will call a roll call vote for the, calling the question and getting it to a vote. Mrs. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Frank?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Folsky? Mr. Kennigbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Richley?
Yes.
Mr. McNamee?
Yes.
I vote yes. With that, we would now take it to a recommendation that the superintendent's contract be amended to be paid out for no more than 5 unused vacation days per year.
Or carried over.
Or
So moved.
correct. 'Cause- Motion needed?
So moved.
Jeannie.
Move Mr. Folsky.
No,
Support.
Jeannie just.
That
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
matter.
Mrs. Frank? Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. Next item on our agenda is the Neola 9000 series. Dr.
Oops.
Spelka?
We apologize for not putting them at your table.
Yeah,
Did we have them?
I don't.
The 9000s. The 9000s are the ones. Oh, that's right. You've already gotten
We
them.
already have them.
That's we're at the end. We're at the
Right,
end of this
right,
thing.
we do. No,
I'm
we
so
just
used
have
to what?
I was going to say, I don't remember a 10,000 series.
I'm so used to every month you getting one. All right, I
Right.
apologize. There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have to say, though, that that was something that was really needed by the board to really sit and look at each single series. And we always look at it based on the recommendation of our contract company, and they always do a good job. But it was really, really great that we actually took the time to look them over, ask questions, get answers on this whole series of the board policy. It was great.
I agree.
Thank you for the time, Mrs. Margot. Any comments, questions on the 9000 series? Okay. Next item is the building grade configurations and redistricting.